Right now, it's time to welcome my good friend and co-host, Jeff Small, president of Arbor Financial Services, a retirement income store located in Melbourne, Florida. Jeff is also our very own brand ambassador for the retirement income store and Amazon best-selling author of the book, Turning Financial Planning Right Side Up. We also want to bring in our first guest, a good friend of the income generation, Dr. Laurence Kotlikoff, an economics professor at Boston University, as well as president of MaxFi, a personal financial planner. Dr. Kotlikoff, thanks for being back with us here on the show.
Great to be with you guys again.
So, back in June, you wrote an article, right? You said, we can kind of control COVID within 1 month if we follow a certain protocol.
Yeah.
But here we are again, right? We're in the fall, and we're starting to see infections spike. So they didn't take your advice. So what do you think is going to happen over the course of the winter with this?
Well, unfortunately, I was even talking about that back in March 31st. I checked back last night, and other people, I wrote probably 5 articles for Forbes and one for The Hill, and there was an article by a couple French economists in the Washington Post on March 31st. This was about group testing, the idea of having everybody in a household swab their nose, stick all the swabs together, one somewhat larger test tube, send that off to the lab, have the whole thing tested in one batch, and then you can, we would have increased the testing capacity by a factor of at least 3. And then there's other ways of combining swabs from people in many households. You could have easily tested every household once a week through the spring. In addition, just let me tell you guys one very important thing, which people don't realize, is that we have enormous PCR testing capacity around the country. We have academic labs. There are probably tens of thousands of PCR machines all over the country. My brother, who's the provost at Cornell, told me they have hundreds of these machines at Cornell. They're just using one right now to group test their students at Cornell. They just need one to do 7,000 a day. So we have the testing capacity. We have it now. But the key thing is we're like at day 0 for 90% of the population. This is like we're back in February, except 10% of the population's already been infected and either died or recovered. So we're really in a position to do this group testing starting today. If we get some leadership to do that at the presidential level. And also there's another great option that's coming along here, which is rapid home tests.
I was going to ask you about that, and we've got 45 seconds left before the commercial break. Tell us about these home tests. Do you think it'll really happen?
Yeah, I have some right here. They're just little cassettes. You swab your nose, you put in some liquid, put it in this little plastic cassette, and then there's a strip of paper, and it goes, there's 2 stripes. If both stripes turn red, you're positive. And there's about 10 companies, and yes, it will happen. I think the FDA will be approving it in a few weeks. Yeah.
Immediate results, you're saying?
We'll be able to get results in about 10 minutes, and then you'll be able to use a passport. You'll take a picture of it, send it to a restaurant to get a reservation.
Wow.
Tell your teachers of your kids that you can that they're okay to come to school.
Yep. It's
like they're okay to go to work.
Yeah, it's like a pH test or a keto strip. That's awesome. I wasn't even personally aware of that at this stage. We need to take a quick commercial break. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment right here on The Income Generation. I'm David Scranton. We'll be right back. And right now it's time to bring back in my good friend and co-host, Jeff Small, along with our good friend of the income generation, Dr. Laurence Kotlikoff. Dr. Kotlikoff, so I understand you have with you one of those home testing kits. Let's see it.
That's right here. So here's the swab. It's enclosed. I'm not going to open it. This is from E25 Bio. It's a Cambridge-based company. This is the, you take the swab the front part of your nose, not deep. You put some solution in here. You swish it around, swish it around in there. And then you put the swab in this little hole right, let's see, this little hole in the cassette, and here's this paper strip in here, and 2 lines will light up if you're positive, 1 line will light up if you're negative. And there's about 10 or so companies that have these things coming on board. So we will be in a position to fix this problem in a couple.
Yeah. Do you know what the best 2 words were in that entire bunch of sentences?
What?
Not deep. Those are the best 2 words. Not deep. That's what people hate about COVID-19 tests.
Part of your nose,
So Jeff, I want to throw it to you. In the last segment, your job was to sit there and look pretty, and you've done a marvelous job doing that. But I know you're chomping at the bit to ask Dr. Kotlikoff about the economy. So have at it.
So, Dr. Kotlikoff, I know that we're going to talk about some economic issues now, but the virus is intertwined with the economy, and we're looking at shutdowns probably in Europe as the virus is expanding there pretty rapidly. It's freaking out the leaders over there. We see rising cases also happening here. But in reference to what's going to happen with the economy going forward, we've seen a lot of companies exceed earnings this year that shouldn't have exceeded earnings. The average earnings call increase has been about 13%. What is your forecast for next year on earnings when I think we'll really see the tailwinds really catch up to the economy due to COVID, especially if we have rising cases here and a potential shutdown here? What is your forecast for next year's economy?
Well, I would think that it's going to be pretty. We're like negative 4% on GDP from where we were a year ago. If we get back to the same level of GDP as we had in 2019, that would be good. So if we go up, recover, but that's a pretty fast recovery. But it could happen. We could get that far. I don't think we're going to go beyond that. We've had a lot of bankruptcies, a lot of permanent layoffs, and a lot of people are still afraid. So as you said, we have to deal with COVID to get the economy back alive. And that requires these rapid home tests or group tests where you can get a report from the lab, take a picture of it, send it in as a passport to get back into the economy. This is the only way we're going to, short of getting a virus on board, which is going to take at least till the spring, from what everybody says, apart from the president, the current.
Well, here's the problem, Dr. Kotlikoff. Here's the problem. The president gets tested every, 2 or 3 days, and everybody in his administration still got it. But Congress doesn't have any type of a follow-up weekly, bi-weekly testing regimen of any kind. And as you know, Congress isn't going to do anything for the American people that they're not doing for themselves most of the time. And so there's no political inertia on either side of the party line here to try and get a testing methodology in place, a daily regimen, so we can get back to a normal economy. Because I'm with you, I completely agree. Home-based testing, weekly, bi-weekly, batch testing, whatever, we need to put that in place to get back to a normal economy, or we're not going to be able to get there. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think the pressure is just going to be immense. I'm certainly trying to put on pressure by writing op-eds myself. But once these things are available and the FDA has approved them, because the politicians are kind of out of the loop. The manufacturers of these send them to the FDA for approval after they've done some testing. The FDA approves it for over-the-counter use. Now it's going to be in CVS where you can buy these things. And then people are going to say, well, look, I can't afford it. I can't afford $5 for one of these little tests every day to go to work. And then there's going to be a clamor to make it available publicly. So I think no matter who, any politician is going to be forced to provide it to the entire public for free.
Sure. Dr. Kotlikoff, I have to ask you this. We have 25 seconds left. You had mentioned before in the spring that you thought we might be going into the greatest depression we've ever had.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you've kind of eased back from that prediction as of late. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah, I think things are better than I had thought. We have about 49% of the people now, about 42% of people working remotely. A lot of people are still working, physically. We have 10 million people unemployed. So this is, the maximum unemployment we had in the Great Recession. We also have output 4 percentage points down from where it was a year ago. That's as big as it was in the recession too.
And it's a time like this where I'm sure you're happy to have been overly pessimistic about it, because if that prediction had come true, it would be terrible for our country. So Dr. Kotlikoff, thanks so much for being back with us. We really appreciate it.
Anytime, guys.
You stay with us. We'll be back here with more coming up in a moment on the Income Generation. We'll be right back.